This video is part of a series on formulae. The first video was about evaluating formulae. This video is about constructing formulae. What will happen is there will be a question that involves a calculation, and in the second part of the question you will replace the numbers with letters so that a formula can be developed. So in this case it's the cost of a car repair. Costs are £180 worth of parts and 3 hours of labour at £35 per hour, so the cost can be calculated. And based on that calculation you can then replace the quantities with letters. So it's P pounds for the parts, in other words the 180 becomes a P. T hours of labour, the 3 hours becomes T, and it's at N pounds per hour instead of £35 per hour, so the N's replacing the 35. So the key parts are here in red. So in the first part you've got £180 and you've got 3 lots of 35. So there's a calculation. The £180 parts and the 3 lots of 35, it comes to £285. Now to establish a formula, all you do is you replace that 180 by P for parts, the 3 here by T for T hours, and the 35 by N for N pounds per hour. If you do that, you then get the formula. There's the cost C, is the parts, that was 180. N pounds per hour, that was at 35, and the T for T hours, that was at 3. So based on this calculation, it simply was replacing 180 by P, 35 by N, the 3 by T, and it became C equals P plus NT. So it's a fairly simple process. So here's an example with car hire charges £20 a day. If you go over 200 miles you pay an extra 20 pence per mile. So it's a 6-day hire, 6 lots of £20. You're travelling 500 miles, that's 300 miles extra. 500 minus that 200, 300 miles extra at 20 pence a mile. So 300 miles at 20 pence a mile. And then what you do is, instead of having a 6-day hire, you've got a hire for D days. The 6 becomes a D. And instead of 500 miles, we've got N miles, but it's N miles over the 200. So N's bigger than 200, so it's N over 200. So that will be N minus 200. So there's the first part. 6 days, £20 a day, 6 20s. 500 miles, you say 500 less that 200 is 300 miles. 300 times that 20 pence. Now there's the 6 days at £20 a day. There's the extra 300 miles, it was 500 minus 200. And now 20 pence, but we want it in pounds because it's £20 a day here, so we want it all in pounds. That's 20 pence in pounds. 20 pence per mile for 300 miles, it's £60. Add them together, it's £180. So this calculation is part A. To get us ready for part B, I'm going to write the calculation underneath that we just did, which was that we took 20 times 6. We took 500 minus 200 to get 300 miles, and that was then all multiplied by the 20 pence. Because in part B, to get the formula, we simply replace the numbers with letters. So here's part B. Cost C pounds. You're going for D days, travelling N miles when N's over 200. So there was part A. Instead of 6 days, it's D days. Instead of 500 miles, it's N miles. There it is substituted. That's it. Since it's multiplication, 20 times D can be just shortened to 20D, and 0.2 times the brackets can become 0.2 brackets. And that's it, done. So you look at the calculation for part A and you just turn the numbers into letters. Here's another example. This is cost of hiring a holiday cottage. Depends on the season. The hire's for 4 guests, but if you take extra, there's an additional charge per guest. So find the cost of hire in spring for 6 guests. So spring, autumn, £225 hire. That's for 4. You've got 6, so you get an extra 2, and it's £35 a day. And what you then do is you generalise that for n guests, where n is greater than 4. So here's part A. It's in spring for 6 guests, £225, and then 2 extra guests at £35 each. So calculation is £225 for 4 guests. That's an extra 2. It came from 6 minus 4, and it's £35 each. Now the reason it's written that way is it's going to be used to get answer to part B, which is to generalise it. So it's £295 when you work that out. This first line is what we need for part B, because all we do is we're going to turn the numbers into letters. So in part B, it's in summer this time, cost in summer of n guests where n is greater than 4. So setting out just like we did in part A, there's the £300 for the 4 guests. However many guests it is, you subtract 4 because you've paid for 4. So that's the 4 already paid for. And that can be simplified because the brackets can be broken. So if we break the brackets, 45 times n, 45 times 4, 300 minus that 180 leaves you 120. So that's a simplified formula. It says fully simplify, it meant break the brackets and tidy it up. So there's the formula. So it's much like previous examples, except the formula can be simplified if you break the brackets. This looks more complicated, but it's basically the same thing. Just there's more information in the table. So if you post a package, it's a charge for 10 kilograms. But if you go over the 10 kilograms, you pay, in this case, 80p for each extra kilogram, but it depends when you want delivery, what time the next day. So this is an expensive postage. So part A says calculate the cost of a 16 kilogram package. That's 6 kilograms overweight for delivery by noon the next day. That's noon, the middle line. And then when you've done the calculation of part A, it's to help you get part B where you substitute letters for the numbers. So here's part A. Key parts are at 16 kilograms, so it's 6 kilograms overweight. That's 16 minus the 10, an extra 6. To be noon the next day, that tells you on this line, it's 70p for each extra kilogram, £14 for the 10 kilograms and 70p for each extra kilogram. So the calculations are £14 pays for 10 kilograms. This calculates an extra 6 kilograms at 70 pence, that's it put into pounds, for each extra kilogram. So 6 lots of 70 pence onto the 14, it's £18.20. For part B, you carry out a similar calculation to that, but you put in the letters. So part B says W kilograms, W is greater than 10. Parcels to be delivered by 10 AM, so that's the first line, 10 AM the next day. It's £18 payment, and the extra kilograms, you pay 80 pence each kilogram, £0.8. So doing what we did in part A, the basic charge £18 for 10 kilograms. That's the extra over and above the 10 kilograms, W minus 10. And then it's 80 pence for each kilogram. Again, you can break the brackets up, 0.8 times each thing in the bracket. 18 minus 8, there's 10, and that's it simplified. So when it's formula like that, usually once it's simplified if it's possible. In this case, because you're going to end up with 2 numbers, that will simplify. So, click the link description, there's a worksheet So you get access to the worksheet, it'll have the answers with it. It's basically questions like those you've just seen. Tables look complicated, but it's just really picking out the right bit. 8 questions, and they're all pretty much the same type you just saw. Answers will be with them. They're just on the sheet. So that's the PDF, which is available if you click the link in the description, and it'll come with the answers. Now, the next video is also in constructing a formulae. It's generalizing patterns. So it's using numbers in a pattern and generalizing them for n terms. So it's generalizing patterns. Hope you found this video useful. Thank you.